Hey everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Philip and I'm taking another video exam here, so bear with me. Today we're going to talk a little bit about vinegar, and we're also going to talk about emulsification, and then I'm going to kind of tie it all together. What does this have to do with each other? So to start off with, vinegar is made by taking what's known as a mother culture and adding it to an alcohol, and this mother culture is a group of bacteria, and it will convert that alcohol into vinegar. Pretty simple. You can use almost any type of alcohol as long as it doesn't have a whole lot of preservatives in it. And this mother culture is something you can either buy or you can go outside and you can collect your own, and there's plenty of videos and processes in that. But because there's such a wide range, you can result in many different types of vinegars, and vinegar, therefore, you have many different flavors, and it all depends on kind of what you want, what you're looking for whenever you make your vinegar, and what you're going to use that vinegar actually for. And then once you have an established mother culture, you can take and keep collecting that back out of your vinegar that you made, put it in a little bit more alcohol, a little bit more vinegar, and you can keep using that over and over and over again to keep making vinegar. And it's a great way to make your own at home. And so basically, the whole process takes about 2 months if you're to do it that way, or what's considered more of the grassroots way. And some companies still do it this way. And you can also do it in about 2 days, and that's how most commercial, such as industries, do it, such as the way that this one here that I'm holding in my hand is made. It doesn't take very long at all, but you don't have nearly as much flavor. And because you can use so many different things, you get so much variation in how it tastes and what you're looking for. So it's all based on your taste, like I said. The next thing I kind of want to briefly touch on is called emulsification. So emulsification is kind of a stabilization of two liquids that you wouldn't usually mix. So here in front of me, I have a jar, and in this jar on top, which is known as our dispensed phase, is oil, and what's on the bottom is vinegar, and that's called our continuous phase. And if I sit here, I just mix these up. Would you look at that? It didn't mix. It's kind of like oil and water. They don't really mix because that oil is hydrophilic, doesn't want to mix with that water. And so what it does is it goes to the top, because at the top it's going to have the least amount of surface tension, or surface area with that water, because if it was submerged, it would be completely surrounded, whereas here it only has one part of it touching it. And so for that reason, it separates to the top. Why is this important? Because you don't want that in your kitchen when you're cooking. And so how do you get rid of this? Well, you use what's called an emulsifier. And an emulsifier is something that will go in there and it'll stabilize that reaction, and therefore it makes it more of a homogeneous mixture. So in most kitchens today, an egg yolk is the most common emulsifier. And so, put that back in there. Egg yolk, what it does is it'll go in here, and one part, it has this protein in it called lecithin, and one end of the lecithin will bind to the oil, the other end of the lecithin will bind to the water, and what you get is a homogeneous mixture of oil and water because of the lecithin. And so today, I made mayonnaise, which has vinegar in it, and because vinegar doesn't mix well with oil, it also has an emulsifier in it, and so that's why I talked about those two things first. So to start off with, it started off with an egg yolk, more specifically, because that's what actually has lecithin in it, and that's our emulsifier. And it also used a ground mustard, and ground mustard is another emulsifier, maybe not as strong, not as popular as the egg yolk, but it's still an emulsifier. It also called for salt, which the salt in it actually makes the solution a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier, which is good. Filled with sugar, just add a little different, little sweeter flavor. Called lemon juice, which is another flavor, and it's also another acid in combination with the vinegar. Like I said, our vinegar was our continuous phase. And then it called for oil, which in this particular case is our dispensed phase. And so we want that oil to mix with that vinegar and the other ingredients in order to get a nice mixture. So what it is, I mixed all these together, and I made 2 batches. So the first batch I made had egg and the emulsifier that's in the egg yolk in it. And as you can see, it resulted in it's kind of like a paste. And it looks like mayonnaise. It's very nice flavor. This recipe I found on the Food Network. And then I made another one that, as you can see here, and a little difficult to see. I'm gonna move this down a little bit, but it's almost all liquid. And if you look here, it's separated out. And why is this important? Because this one doesn't have an egg in it. This doesn't have that lecithin, so therefore it doesn't have that binding factor. And on top we have the oil. Underneath that we have a layer caused by the ground mustard as being an emulsifier, but because there's so little ground mustard in it, it's not enough to completely mix them together. And then on the bottom we have our vinegar / lemon mix. And if this was a clear glass, it'd be a lot easier to see, but unfortunately I don't have any. So that's why, and you also have all the solids down at the bottom, and so that is why eggs and emulsifiers are important whenever you're cooking, is because you want a homogeneous mixture. You don't want the separation, because if you were to use this on a sandwich or something like that, it's not a very good mayonnaise. I wouldn't want to eat that, and basically you would just have soggy bread. Whereas this one is much better, tastes a lot better. I tried them, and it looks better, it tastes better, and that is why it's important to kind of understand what emulsifiers do and why they're important in the kitchen. And with that, I'm getting hungry. I'm going to go make a BLT for all this mayonnaise, which sounds absolutely delicious to me. So thanks for listening. I hope you understand a little bit more about emulsification and a little bit more about vinegar, and thanks for listening.